I want you to watch very carefully what I'm about to do. For some of you in parts of the world who have never seen this fruit before, this is called mango. This is a mango fruit, very delicious. Okay, so watch what I'm doing. So I've cut a part, which is actually where you eat. Very delicious. I can cut this other part. Anybody want to join me? Sometime in the future, someone is going to develop an app that can allow us to eat physically together in different parts of the world. Okay, so I've cut the second part. It's really nice. But I want you to see something. There's something left in the middle. What is this? Type in the comment section. What is this? Quickly, type in the comment section. This is the seed. Yes. Thank you, Manzivic Brian. Yeah. Oh, yeah. FYA Jim says, oh boy, I wish I can have some. Yes. So at some point in the future, we're going to get an app that will allow us to share mango across different continents. By the way, can you all tell me where you are watching from? Just type the country that you're joining from. Okay. So here is the point, and I don't want you to ever forget it because it's related to what we are going to talk about today. Every single one of us came fully capitalized. Every human baby was born fully capitalized. Type it in the comment section. Say, I was born fully capitalized. You see, as this mango, as every mango indeed comes with its seed, that is how each of us was born with a capital. Seed capital. Have you ever heard about? I find it very interesting actually, because as a business coach, I've helped many startups and then many growing businesses. So you hear very often when businesses go for funding, they talk about seed capital. They borrowed it from life. Every one of us was born fully capitalized. We carry our seed capital inside our lives, inside our souls, inside our spirits. Everybody was born fully capitalized. It's not just Bill Gates or Dangote or Elon Musk. Every single human on this planet was born with seed capital. Indeed, when you read some parts of scripture, the human being is called seed. So you hear the seed of Abraham, the seed of this person, the seed. You are a seed. And then you came fully capitalized. But unfortunately, many of us die, never touching a very, very tiny fraction of the capital that was made available for us to come and fulfill our objectives in life. So there's no plan without capital. And so God did not bring you here without a plan. And then that plan did not come without its capital. So that's the very first thing I want every one of you to bear in mind as we go through what I have developed as the 6 stages of wealth creation for people with no capital. Because in my story, the story of my life was a story that started without capital. When I graduated from the university and finished my youth service, I found myself in the slums of Makoko in Lagos, zero capital. I couldn't even afford clothes. I remember there were some weeks, there was a time I didn't have underwears. I didn't have an underwear. And as a young man, and if you're a man, you know what I'm talking about, not to have an underwear. And then you go out in the public and things like that, not to have underwear. So men, you know what I'm talking about. But I was weeks without underwear because everything I had on my body at that time were bought from hand-me-down clothes stores. That's how low I was. So the shirts, I bought it. For some of you who know Lagos, there is this market in Tejosho in Yaba where you buy used clothes from abroad. So the trousers I was wearing were used clothes bought from, Nigerians call it bend down boutique, because you bend down to pick those clothes. And the shirts I was using were second-hand clothes, as we also call them, that came from abroad, because I couldn't afford new clothes. I was that low. And but I said that for my dignity, I would never wear an underwear, a second-hand underwear. For some reason, I just decided I would never wear a second-hand underwear. Second-hand, we call it undie or pants here, or second-hand undie that another man somewhere, maybe in Germany or US or somebody had used, and I put it and I wear that. So because of it, I had no undies. Okay, but you see, this time I wish somebody had told me that I was born fully capitalized. So over the years after that, things have changed significantly. I've been on these 6 stages of wealth journey that I want to teach you today. If you don't have capital, you have zero capital, we can't even start talking about investing or teaching you investing in the stock market, because you don't even have the capital, you don't have the funds to do that. And so I also want to let you know that if you don't have an honest way of making money, if you don't have honest money-making skills today, this world will be very hard for you, like many of you already discovered. So this world is going to be very hard for you because nothing is free. In fact, the only thing that is free is oxygen. Even drinking water is no longer free like it used to be. Okay, so you have rent to pay, you have school fees to pay if you're a parent like I am, and food prices keep going up every day. I remember the things that we bought with, if you went to the market in those days, so the village market, in those days, like in the 80s, if you went to the village market with 1 naira or 2 naira, you were a very wealthy person. You come back with baskets filled with all kinds of things. But today you step into a supermarket. Like the other day, I ordered for some beef and goat meat. I ordered. And then when the rider brought it, I held it in a small nylon bag like this. And that was, goat meat was 56K or something like that. And then beef was about 20. So I held 70 something naira worth of goat meat in a small nylon bag, in a small plastic bag. So when the guy delivered, I said, wait, this is 76K? He said, yes. But I remember not too long ago, not even, I mean, like 15, 20 years ago, if I had 75,000, I would buy 7 goats. Goats were 10. There was a time goats in recent history, a full goat was 8,000 naira. Then from 8,000, I remember goat went to 12,000. Everybody was screaming. And then from 12,000, a full goat went to 15,000. Today, I hear that you get some goats for 80,000. You get some really good ones for 140,000, 150,000 for one goat. So what I'm saying is, if you don't have money making skills, honest money making skills. That's the first thing you should learn. That is the very first thing that you should learn. And I'm going to take you through those stages today, because the school didn't teach you what I'm about to teach you. The school didn't teach me. And that's how I went through life, having to break it out on my own, having to understand it by myself, to practice it, and then to teach it like I'm doing for you today. Okay. So today is not, we're not going to talk about how to invest millions. We are starting from the real question. How do you build wealth when you have no capital? Please type it in the comment section. All right. And I can see people are watching from Maryland, USA, from Nigeria, from the UK. I haven't seen other countries here. I think this was scrolling, quite fast. So I can see UK here. I can see US. I can see Nigeria. Fantastic. Okay. So type it in the question, in the comment section. How do you build wealth with zero capital? So we are beginning like from a clean slate. We are beginning as if we are beginners. So I need you to pay attention with the beginner's mindset. So there are 6 stages on the ladder, and I'm going to show you in a moment. There are 6 stages on the ladder. YouTube has a really cool feature now. So now we're able to share screen. Just a little while ago, we weren't able to do that. Okay, so I'm going to share that. And then if you can see my screen, please give me a thumbs up. Okay, just give me a thumbs up in the chat screen. I think this is really cool, isn't it? If you can see my screen very well. All right, so I also see Israel. Okay, so someone is joining from Israel. Fantastic. I hope you guys are safe there. Fantastic. All right. So, so here is the ladder. The first stage, as what you can see there, is the shift stage, okay? And then you can actually type it so that you can remember that. So there's the shift stage. Stage 2 is stabilize. Stage 3 is solve. Stage 4 is store. Stage 5 is scale. And then secure. If you follow what you are seeing here, you will go from zero capital to at least your first 100,000 naira, your first $1,000, your first $10,000, even your first $1 million, depending on the stage that you are. These are the 6 stages. Okay, so that is a journey from no capital to financial independence. So I'm going to keep this on the screen for you. I'm sure you can see me at the bottom corner, right corner, and so that you can follow me as we go on. Then make notes as you go on. What I'm also planning to do is to develop a worksheet that will allow you to be able to do that. So at the end of it, check the comment section, the pinned comments, and also check the description for this, because it's not just enough you're hearing it. You need to practice it, to follow it, to execute it like I did in order to see money. Income generation is critical for you. Okay, so the first stage is shift, and this is where wealth creation begins. A lot of people think that creating wealth actually starts with a bank account, or that it starts in the stock market, especially now that we have all kinds of people, influencers online, talking about the stock market. It doesn't start with a business account. You know where it starts? Wealth starts from within. Everybody type within. Make sure you follow me. I really want this to be very interactive. And, as I look at the chat, which is just by my screen, and I see that interaction, I find it very inspiring. I just want to know that you're flowing with me and that this is what you want to hear at this stage in your life. So type in the comment section, before your money changes, your identity must change. This is really very important. Before your money changes, your identity must shift. You see, because your money flows from your identity. A person is poor because the person has a poverty, an identity of poverty. And a person is wealthy because the person has an identity of being wealthy. So you see, the person who says, I am broke, behaves completely differently from the person who says, I am building capital. So if I have one sentence I want to remove from your vocabulary today, I want to erase from your mind, from your brain today, is that sentence, I am broke. It's okay to realize that you're broke, but you don't have to say it out. It's okay to realize and to admit, because you actually need to admit that you're broke. But there's something about words. There's something about words. Our words, we are designed in such a way that our words create our reality. Your words create your reality. We are told by the writer of a scripture that by faith, we understand that the universe was made by the words that God spoke. And he said that it was through those words that the invisible or that the visible world was created from the invisible. So you really need to be very conscious. Another scripture says that with the heart, man believes unto righteousness. But he said, but the confession, with the confession comes salvation. So you believe with the heart and then you confess. That's why it's important to change your identity inside you. So this I am broke is a terrible thing to say. And anything you say after I am, once you say I am, be very, very careful what you say after the I am, because it matters a lot. Do you know why? Because words were not given to us primarily to communicate. Some people think that words were given to us to communicate. But the primary function of words in our lives is to create, not to communicate. So if you see yourself as helpless, you will behave helplessly. If you see yourself as a victim, your first instinct will always be to blame somebody. If you see yourself as just managing, you see, that's another thing people say. You ask them, how are you doing? They say, I'm managing. It's a horrible thing to say because your decisions will keep you in the survival zone. But when you begin to see yourself as a builder, something changes. So identity is important when it comes to the journey of wealth. That is where to begin. Don't start with hustling. Don't start with hustling. This is why if you start with hustling and then you assume the identity of a hustler, you find people who have been hustling for 10 years. If you have seen, just say I have seen people, even it might even be you, who have been hustling for 10 years, for 15 years, for 5 years since they graduated from the university. They are still hustling. The last time you saw them, they were hustling. 4 years later, they are still hustling because they failed the first stage. Because the first stage is to shift your identity. So you stop saying there is no money anywhere. You begin to ask, what value can I create that people can pay for? So the way you see yourself matters a lot. And this is where to start doing the inner work. Okay? Because if you see yourself as a victim, which is where majority of Africans, find themselves. It's not just Africa, in different parts of the world. Then you stop waiting for somebody to rescue you and you start preparing for responsibility. This is the identity that many of us have assumed as Africans that make us always to look for somebody that's coming to save us, to rescue us, that make us embrace certain spiritual sounding but extremely dangerous teachings that we hear every day. Destiny helper. So you are there waiting for one magical destiny helper that will just come into your life and then boom, everything will change. That is poverty thinking. Okay. But if you want to be wealthy, you've got to see yourself even as your primary helper, because nobody can help you if you don't take responsibility for where you are going in life and then what you want to do. So, how can our people shift our mindset, our beliefs, our purpose? Because in this stage, this is where you define what your purpose is. This is where you define who you are and what you're here in the world to. That's actually where money starts. But a lot of people jump from there and they go all the way to stage 4 or stage 3, like I'm going to talk about. But you have to actually start first of all, because this is where you define what does success mean to me. See, because I defined it at this very first stage. How will I know when I'm wealthy? How will I know that I'm successful? I defined it. And because of it, I don't go around comparing myself with you. And I don't go around having to seek validation on social media by showing you luxury cars, luxury mansions, luxury vacation trips, and things like that to prove to you, or coming out of business class. Because I defined what success means to me. So success means that I have peace with God and with man. Success means that I love my wife and I'm faithful to her. This is the 31st year of my marriage. I'm faithful to her. I love her to bits. And my success means to me to raise children, who are godly, who are respectful, who are very, very successful in whatever they choose to do. Success means to me that I have more than enough to be able to help other families in need. So I define all those things. Therefore, when you begin to show me your Lamborghinis, your Ferraris, and all that on social media, I don't really care. I don't really care, because I've defined my identity. I've defined my success. That is where you should start. Don't start with Ferrari. Don't start with dreaming Lamborghini. Start with, who are you? Okay, that's the very first question you need to ask yourself. Okay. And so for those of you, I see that a number of you are from Nigeria. A number of you are listening from the US. So for Nigerians at home, when we talk about, like, how can you shift your financial identity? How can Nigerians at home shift their financial identity? So it might look like a worker. You're a worker who says, my salary cannot be my only hope anymore. I must learn a side skill. I must build something outside salary. You see, a lot of people, especially when I go to these civil service offices and then civil service cities across the country, and I see the way the people have literally stringed themselves or chained themselves to that salary. It is shocking. It is shocking. And to be honest, I know this might offend people when I say it, but this kind of salary and this civil service or something salary that people tie themselves or chain themselves to, it does a lot of brain damage. It damages people's thinking. It damages people. I've seen people who are extremely capable, highly skilled, but they stay in that place that they don't really like, because they are afraid that, okay, if I leave this place, how can I survive because of that monthly salary? Okay, so you've got to change your identity, because when you actually begin to see yourself like a wealthy, self-sufficient, well-provided, responsible person, you'll begin to see that tiny thing. I don't even know how much they pay in your country. I don't know what the minimum wage thing, and people have been in it for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. It's not working. It didn't work for people before them. It's not working for them right now. And I'm not saying you should quit your civil service salary or your job, the job you're doing right now, but you need to start seeing yourself that, like when we started, I said you're fully capitalized. And you need to start asking yourself, if I'm fully capitalized, is this it? you know. Yes, and then wise man says the system has programmed us this way. It's terrible. It's a terrible programming. And then for our friends in the diaspora in the UK, US, Canada, that it may look like this. You may say, I came here to survive, but I cannot live forever as if bills are my identity. I visit some of you guys in the US. I go to the UK, I come to Canada, I go to those places, and I'm seeing the way, you guys are living. I was in Houston visiting a friend, and then he was on 3 jobs. He was 4 jobs, and she was on 3 different jobs. My goodness, my goodness. Throughout the period we stayed there, you hardly saw them. The man would just come in, and then he hardly had like more than 2 or 3 hours in the house. And then because of the kind of work he was doing, he was always out. Man, it's like you're living there to just pay bills. And unfortunately, the people in your home countries, back in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Cameroon, in different places, they don't even know what you're going through. All they are waiting for is for that dollar you're going to send to them and then solve their problem. So this is the first shift. You must stop seeing yourself only as a consumer of income, but you must start seeing yourself as a creator. And so in that stage one of building wealth, of wealth creation, the first question is, who am I becoming? I plead with you, don't start moving to the next stage of creating wealth until you have defined that. Is the confidence in who I am and what my purpose is. That is the confidence that gives me more money than the money I have in my bank. So the first question is, who am I becoming? It's not, what do I have? You don't ask, what do I have? That's not the first question. But who am I becoming? You don't ask, who disappointed me? Because poor people are always looking for someone to blame. Everybody to blame except themselves. The question is not, why is the economy difficult? Wrong question. If these are the kind of questions you are asking, you will never make wealth. Do you know that the economy is still very difficult for Dangote? Watch his interviews. Watch his interviews. The economy, you will imagine that this guy is a billionaire. He's done so much in Africa. He's a multi-billionaire, richest man in Africa. You would imagine that the economy is easy for him. Dangote is crying. He's crying about government policies. He's crying about taxes. He's crying about poor infrastructure. He's crying about governance. So the problem is not the economy. So stop saying, why is the economy difficult? Those things don't matter. But the deeper question is, who am I becoming in the middle of all this? King Solomon said that if your strength fails in the day of adversity, your strength is small indeed. But you see, some people are passing through the fire and they're coming out purer. But a lot of you are passing through the fire of the economy, of the challenges in the world, and the thing is burning you up. It's not supposed to burn you up. Okay, so one action I want you to take right now, and then also in your journal, is to define your new financial identity. So your simple action at stage one is to write one sentence that defines your new financial identity. So for example, I am becoming a disciplined value creator who builds capital, buys assets, and creates freedom for my family. Write it, put it somewhere. Like I have things, on Post-it. I put here. Put it where you read it, you see it, to change your identity. It may look like a simple sentence, but a person without identity will borrow the identity of their environment. Can somebody type that in the chat section? A person without identity will borrow identity of their environment. You see it all around you. If everyone around you is complaining, you will complain. Have you noticed? You enter a certain group or where people are having conversation, and then they're talking about, T-pain. How many of you have heard it? T-pain. T-pain. And I find that in certain circles, they are talking about T-pain. T-pain meaning Tinubu pain. And people are discussing that. They are in the beer parlor and all that. If you're in that kind of circle, you'll be talking to people. But I don't have people like that around me. God forbid. I don't have people around me. So if everyone around you is complaining, you will complain. And then remember, I have always said that you can never complain and create at the same time. But if you are around if you don't have your own identity, you'll absorb the identity of your environment. If everyone around you is spending money to impress, you will start spending to impress. Have you noticed that too? You will start spending to impress. If everyone around you is waiting for luck and waiting for destiny helper, you will start waiting for destiny helper. I have found it especially in many religious groups and fellowships. Their watchword is destiny helper. Every prayer point, when will my destiny helper come? Oh, my destiny helper, where locate me. Have you heard such stupid things? My destiny helper, locate me. And if you are in that circle, in that environment, where they're talking about destiny helper, that's exactly, you will absorb it. You will absorb it. But if you create the identity that I'm telling you about today, and your identity changes, once your identity changes, your behavior becomes easier to change. Because the hardest thing is to try to change behavior without changing the identity, because it is the identity that produces the behavior. That's why for many of us struggling with addictions like pornography and things like that, I struggled with it myself. And then I will promise myself, I will vow, oh, I will never do that again, only to find myself doing it again. Did this also happen to anybody here? You say, just say happened to me. The secret for me overcoming pornography addiction for the final time in my life, the secret was changing my identity. I said, look, I have the nature, the divine nature. He said that I've been given exceeding great and precious promises. He said his divine nature has given myself, okay, I have divine nature. That's my identity. Would God do this? Would his nature do this? So, the divine nature. So when the identity for pornography became easy. It became easier to avoid. It became easier to those websites I used to. It became easier to ignore magazines, that showed nudity and things like that. It became easier because I changed identity. But I was trying to change the behavior first, and it was impossible. Very frustrating. If you want to be wealthy, start by changing your identity, because you can never produce wealth from the identity of poverty. Neither is it possible for wealthy people to become poor. It is impossible for wealthy people to become poor because of identity. So after you shift who you are, then you start going to the next stage. The next stage is stabilize. Okay, everybody type it, stabilize. I need to see interaction. Stabilize, type in the comment section. Okay, so you see, if you cannot meet your basic needs, you can't even start, your mind can't work properly, to be honest. If you can't meet basic needs, you can't pay your own bills. If you are not stable, it's difficult to think clearly. That's why sometimes, I'm actually, sometimes actually empathize with fellow Africans, because I've been to several places in Sierra Leone, in Tanzania, parts of Nigeria, parts of Ghana. Man, the people are struggling to survive. It's also in the United States. There's also poverty there. But you see, what I discovered is, for the person who goes to bed hungry, for the person who wakes up doesn't know where the next meal is coming, like in Sierra Leone, I went to a community where the women were cracking stones. And then this particular woman, I wept watching her, because she had a baby. She had a baby with her, like a nursing baby. But she also had another child. That child could barely be 4 or 5 years. So I was asking, why is this child not in school? But this 5, 6 year old was there also cracking stones. So, how will people like that who are fighting to survive, how will they think innovation? How will they start thinking about building drones? How will they start thinking about programming AI and things like that? So that is so, and then so that is the extreme. In your own situation, you are struggling to pay bills, to pay rent, to pay fees for your children. Every single day you wake up is struggle. It's also difficult for you when you've not met basic needs to start thinking about creativity, innovation, or to start thinking about even traveling. Did you know that traveling out with your family can change your life and change the children's life forever? But when you haven't fed them, how are you going to buy the tickets to travel even to the next country? And it's incredible. In Ghana, because I have a second office in Ghana, my consulting office. I meet people in their 50s and 60s who've never been to Nigeria. Never been to Nigeria. 60 years, and this is just next door. And then they've never left their country. They're also Nigerians, who've never left to even go to neighboring Cameroon or Togo or Benin, right here. Traveling changes your life. And I'm so blessed that I was able to provide that for my children and my wife when they were young. And then we could travel around the world. On one occasion, we landed, they were much younger, we landed in JFK. And then I hired a car, took them across the country, across the United States, all the way from New York to Colorado, where we were staying. We drove 3 days, seeing places, stopping by parks, sleeping in different hotels. It was such a fantastic educational experience for the children. But somebody, if you've not eaten, if you've not fed them, how are you going to create that kind of experience? So that's what we're talking about. This second stage is stabilize. Stabilize. I've only seen 2 people or 3 people type it. I wanted everybody, I need to follow me, type stabilize in the comment section. Okay. So, like I said, because if rent is due, your mind is not at rest. If it has happened to you, say it has happened to me. Just type it. If school fees are due, because I went through it myself after I quit Shell and then lost everything to a very sad investment. Life became very, very difficult, for me. So I knew how I used to feel when my children were sent home by the school because I couldn't pay their school fees. And I remember at that time, my youngest son spent a whole term at home because I couldn't pay for that term. And he stayed for one full school term at home. I know how it feels. Your mind is not at rest. And usually, if you are borrowing money and you are borrowing for food, not for business, every opportunity begins to look like an emergency exit. And this is actually when people make very dangerous decisions. It also happened to me. This is when people fall for Ponzi schemes. I fell for Ponzi schemes. This is when people borrow from the wrong people. This is when you invest money that you cannot afford to lose. This is when, like some people did, they borrow money, to do sport betting and things like that. So before we talk about wealth, you must talk about basic stability. Can you pay for food? Can you pay for rent? Can you handle transport? Can you pay electricity? For transport, is a young man. Every time he came, T-fare. This can give me T-fare. I didn't know what T-fare was. They have all these slangs in this generation. I didn't know T-fare. T-fare, actually, that guy, I went to do business somewhere. And then this young guy, looking like a graduate, approached me to beg me, say, please, T-fare, sir. T-fare. I didn't know what T-fare is. I heard it for the first time, T-fare. And it turned out to be he was begging for transport money. My goodness. So can you handle transport? Can you handle data? Because data is a major asset these days, especially if you're doing the right things with data and being part of this kind of live stream. But a lot of people are using data for comedy skits that don't put money in their pocket, then watching gossip clips and things like that. Can you buy data? Can you meet school fees? Can you survive the month without borrowing from four people? You know, there are people who are, they borrow. They just borrow. They borrowed from every friend. They borrow from every friend. And you may actually have a friend like that. They borrowed from you. They borrow. They say, I beg, just borrow me. They say in Pidgin English, I beg, borrow me 2K. I beg, borrow me 2K. I want shop. I want to do something. And then they've been borrowing, living like that. So you need stability. Okay. Because you are in this stage 2. So the assignment for stage 2 is not for you when you're in that situation. It's not for you to start looking successful. If you're in stage 2, you've not stabilized, you can't pay your bills. I plead with you, my friends, please stop pretending to be rich. Stop doing all these social media flex. It's hurting you. It's hurting you. Stop buying clothes you can't afford. At that time, I was buying used clothes. I couldn't, when I was in stage 1, I couldn't have gone to, if money came, I couldn't have used that money to go buy new clothes, even if I could do that. Okay. So what does this mean for you? What does stage 2 mean? The major question in stage 2 is, can I meet my basic needs? And I want to ask that simple question to all of you right now. Just type yes or no. Just type yes or no. Are you meeting your basic needs right now? Are you meeting your basic needs? Type yes or no. Just be very, very honest. Be very transparent. Are you able to meet your basic needs right now? Whether you're watching from the US, in Israel, Ghana, Nigeria, wherever. Do you struggle to meet your basic needs? Yes or no? Because I want to tell you what to do if you are in this stage. Okay? So is no. I was in that no for a long time myself. I wasn't meeting basic needs for myself. It's a stage. Okay, so nothing to be, so I can see a lot of no, no, no. I'm telling you, nothing to be ashamed of. But I just want to encourage you that this is a journey. That you are in that stage. It doesn't mean that you're going to remain in that stage. But see, in this stage, you don't even start talking about investing. Please forget all my videos and everything I'm telling you about investing. You need to stabilize first. Don't even bother buying my materials on Dangote IPO strategy. You don't need it. You don't need it now. The first thing is to stabilize. This might be for those of you who have no. This might be the most important part of this exercise or this session for you. Okay. So now for Nigerians listening, Africans, Ghanaians here, the first thing is to stop financial leakage. You actually need to create a breathing space, because I have been in this stage. So I know that in this stage, you're not breathing. You are not breathing. And then some of you don't sleep well. I've been there. I have seen what it meant to owe money, to owe for financial institutions. I was owing. They were calling me. They were sending emails. At one particular point, one bank sent a collector. They harassed me. They came to the house. They sent emails. They made phone calls, and then finally they came to my house and repossessed my car. Brand new Nissan Armada. They repossessed it, and as they were going, my son that was there said, "Daddy, are they taking our car?" I almost felt like crying. So I've been there. There's nothing to be ashamed of. But you must know that there's something you have to do at this stage to take yourself out of that stage by stabilizing yourself. So that first thing is cost cutting. So you have to cut random transfers, unplanned weekend outings, impulse buying. You know, impulse buying. You're passing by somewhere, for those of you in Nigeria, Alaba International Market, or you're passing by all these markets in the streets, and then they are ringing, you know how they ring their bells and say, is only 1,000 kitchen blender for 1,000, 2,000. And then you look at blender. The last time you went to price blender, they were telling you 140,000. And then you see this person, only 3,000, only 3,000. You have to cut off those things. Impulse buying. Because you buy that in impulse, you get to your kitchen, and then the whole thing falls apart. It doesn't even come on. Impulse buying. Then there is this Ashoebi pressure. I plead with you, stop killing yourself. This Ashoebi thing. When I was younger, I thought I must. But see, nobody is forcing you. Ashoebi, for burial. Look, I'm 60. I can't be involved in that kind of childish thing anymore. If I'm coming for your wedding, coming for the funeral, I find the best I have. Because the Ashobis I hear are very expensive. And some of you are not stable. A person who is not financially stable has no business with Ashobi. So for non-Nigerians listening here, Ashobi is when somebody wants to bury a relation, their father or something, or they want to do a wedding, they want to appear. They want all their friends to appear in a particular uniform. And it's not cheap. It's not cheap. I hear some Ashobi right now is 1 million. Some Ashobi is 250,000, 500,000. If you give me 500,000, do you know how many Presco or Jitco shares I will buy? Or Zenith? Do you know how many shares do you know what 500,000 will do for me if I invest it today in Stanbic IBTC? If I invest it, do you know what it will do for me in 5 years' time? That 500,000 can become 5 million, 6 million, even more. And that's what you want me to go and just waste to wear uniform and appear in your funeral or in your wedding. No. Out of that 500,000, if of course I don't have that for that kind of a thing, I take what I can and put in an envelope and give you. It's actually more important for you than, you just wear it one day and look good. Stop it. Look, if you're wealthy and you are rich, please go ahead and do. So don't misquote me. I'm not saying you shouldn't do Ashwebi, but you are not stable. You can't buy food for your family, for your children. What are you doing with Ashwebi? Ask me. Please, somebody tell me. Okay? So that Ashwebi pressure, that then unnecessary status spending. My goodness. I knew a guy who dressed big, dressed rich, talked big, was a big guy. Everybody around him. And we were shocked when this man died. There was there was even no money to bury him. And then the whole thing started coming out that this guy was poor as in poor. It was just impressions. And I see many of you on social media, flexing, pretending to be rich, but you don't have food. Stop it. Okay? And then all these things, all the small, like we say in this part of us, small leakages that drain money quietly. Stop it. Stop it. You are not stable. And then the most controversial one I say, people fight me, especially this generation. Throw away your television. Television is cheap, but it's extremely costly. Television is cheap. I don't even know if it's cheap anymore. Because I went to repair my solar appliance the other day, and the repair shop, somebody brought a flat screen TV. That's a small, I don't know how many inches that is, maybe like 20 something, just slightly bigger than my whatever. So it had fallen, and I think the screen or something cracked. And then the guy said that he would replace it with 80K. I said, what? 80,000 to just replace the whatever? Why doesn't he just buy a new one? All of them fell. They are laughing. They were laughing at me. They say, 80,000 can't buy a new television. I say, so that's for you to show you how outdated I am when it comes to buying TV. Because the last time I bought television, 1999, and the only TV I had bought at that time, I bought it because the cooperative, Shell Cooperative, which I belonged to, they had an arrangement with the shopping mall that was selling at the time. They had the sort of credit arrangement. So I just bought it. I don't know where that thing is because the thing just disappeared, for some time. I don't even know where it is today. So I don't remember, but I don't think that television cost up to 20,000 or 15,000. I don't remember what it was because this was sometime in 1999 or so, or 1998. So when they say that to repair the screen is 80,000, I screamed. But my point is that even if you're buying a TV for 500K and you are not financially stable, you are already, one word that I don't want to describe, but you can type it in the comment section if you are bold enough to use that word. But that's what you are. But you see, if it costs you 500K, that's the price. But what it is costing you in the hours that you have to invest, the hours of your lifetime, because your time is your life, that you have to invest watching it, my friend, that is more expensive. And that's what people don't consider. Then when some of us, come to tell, they say you're old. That's your generation, not our generation. The TV is costing you more than you bought it. Do you know what sit in front of a television and watch television for 2 hours? God forbid. Do you know how much that is costing me? Except it is something that is educational. I mean, like I use in the Airbnb place I stayed in Houston. So they had this massive TV there, but it had, I could watch YouTube. I could browse there, do all that. So I could, but not to sit down and then start watching CNN. Every 30 minutes, they will tell you how many people are being killed, where they are bombing. So all those things are taking a toll on your the productive bandwidth of your mental bandwidth, that you should be spending on creating wealth. You're spending it watching television. I'm just saying, if you are not stable, you have no business with entertainment. I'm telling you, this overly so dependence on entertainment, drinking, football, watching TV and all that, to numb the pain. It numbs the pain, but it doesn't mean that the pain goes. It numbs the pain of your financial frustration for a while. Then you laugh, you entertain yourself. But then you wake up the next day, you are still not stable. You still can't pay your bill. If you are getting what I'm saying, I'm probably already making somebody angry. But if you are getting what I'm saying, type, I'm getting it in the comment section. Type it, I'm getting it in the comment section. Okay? So, if you plug those leaks, you will start getting stable. So for African brothers in the UK, in USA, in Canada who are watching, your leaks look different. So I stay with a friend in a particular city in the US. My goodness, eating out is so easy. America is structured in such a way that it's so easy to spend money. It's so easy to buy DoorDash, whatever, and you stay in your house. It's so easy to order food and they bring it to you. It's much easier than going to buy fresh grocery and coming to cook in your house. So eating out too often, subscriptions you forgot, buying things because they are on sale, big problem. And every time I go to the United States, I have to watch that. My goodness. You see, you'll be seeing sales at 80% off. 75% off, 40% off, 30% off, and you think you are saving money. You are not saving money, you're spending money. So I go with some, ladies to the mall, and then somebody says, oh, when this thing came out, when this summer collection came out, it was $800. I've been waiting for it. I'm just praying. I actually heard this. And she said, I was just waiting quietly. This is fantastic dress. Just waiting quietly for it to come down. And then it was $800. A beautiful, beautiful dress I saw. And then at that particular time, it came down to like 250 or something like that. She said, okay, I will still wait. Let me come another time. It might still come down to 125. When it comes to 125, you are spending money. Money is flowing from you, is bleeding from you. And then I find that you buy that cloth, you put it in your whatever, and then for 6 months, 8 months, you forget it. If you're listening to me from the United States, you can, just type correct. So when things are on sale, and many times you go to your garage, you see junks, too many things you bought that you don't use, but they were on sale. So you just bought it. It happened to me once too. I was there. I saw a garage sale in the neighborhood. In that neighborhood, I went there. I saw some beautiful crystals, useless things, but beautiful when you see them displayed. And it was $1. I said, I'm going to buy this. I packed them. I don't know whether I packed like 2 dozens or like 30 of them. $1. Once I come in here, I will sell it off. That thing stayed with me for decades. It was never sold. So sometimes upgrading car. I see the cars you guys are riding, perfect. No problem. You don't have potholes. You don't have issues. You have good mechanics, unlike here. Because what kills our cars here is maintenance. People that don't have the skill, for maintaining. You're upgrading your car, you're upgrading your phone, you're upgrading your apartment furniture, clothes to match, and then you're struggling. The other problem with many of you living abroad is black tax. Black tax, sending money home without a structure. And you keep doing it until your own life abroad becomes like another branch of poverty family. This is what I notice. So you are there in the United States working, but every day, a cousin says, send us this. And then these people get so entitled once you start sending to them. Your siblings say, oh, the house is leaking. Or this one say, I need to change my phone. Stupid reasons. They're not even asking you, I need to join financial fitness challenge, Ogbo's financial fitness challenge, so that I can become financially. They're always asking for stupid things. I want to upgrade my phone. Food has finished. Mommy says mommy sees one wrapper we want to buy. And then you're sending money, bleeding. And you've been in the United States for 5 years, 10 years. You still haven't found your foot. Yet you've been earning so much. Black tax. You don't structure that. So right now, your family abroad is now looking like another branch of family poverty. Okay. So what should you do if you are in this stage? 4 things. Note them. These are 4 things. These things are very practical. At the end of this session, whether you start making money or not will depend on you. It will be totally choice, not that you don't have the facts and the information I'm giving you, and also the step-by-step practicals. So what you need to do now, simple action, make a note as I'm talking about it, okay? Divide your expenses into 4 categories. How many did I say? 4. This simple thing I'm telling you here now will save you. It will save you financially. I am telling you, it will do what all these years of praying and joining family, or what do they call it? Morning altars, praying for breakthrough and all that. This one will, it will, see, there's a reason he said that wisdom is the principal thing. He didn't say that prayer is bad. Prayer is good. But there are things that prayer will never do for you that only wisdom can do for you. This is one of them. Divide your expenses into 4 categories. Number 1, must pay. So I'm going to give examples. So number one is must pay. Number two is can reduce. Number three is can delay. And then number four is must stop. This helped me so much, and this will help you. Everything you spend must be categorized under one of these. Is it a must pay? Is it a can reduce? Is it a can delay? Or is it a must stop? So must pay includes your rent, because you must pay rent. Must pay also includes food. Must pay includes transport, because you have to move from your house to work, go from place to place. Must pay will include things like school essentials and then utilities. You must pay, especially for those of you living abroad. You must pay that electricity bill. You must pay your water bill. You must pay. It's not like here. So give me other examples of must pay. Give me examples of your own examples of must pay. Okay. So while you do that, can reduce. There are certain things that can reduce in your expenses. Can reduce will include things like eating out. If you eat out 3 times in the week, you can reduce it to, if you eat out 7 times a week, you can reduce it to 3. If you eat 3 times a week, eat out 3 times a week, you can reduce it to once. For some reason, many of us underestimate the amount of money that goes out of our wealth when we eat out versus when we cook. I remember, was it like 2 years ago or somewhere? So I was in Victoria Island. So my wife and I went to have food somewhere. And then at that time, they had this seafood okra, which is really very good. So I really liked it. Very good. Nice. I sincerely do not remember how much. I don't remember how much it was, but I think it was something like 12,000. So by the time both of us finished, the bill must have been something like 35,000, for both of us on seafood okra. Now, 36K at that time could make me a pot of seafood okra that both of us could eat for 1 week or 2 weeks. But we bleed in a meal. So once in a while is fine. But imagine how many times people go. They go to work, order seafood okra because they like it. And it just happens automatically. And because it happens daily and so frequently, you have no idea how much money you're leaking. Okay? So it also includes transport waste. Amazon drive to everywhere. There are places I can walk to. There are places I can take a keke to and something like that. My truck, for instance, uses diesel. Diesel is very expensive. So it's not everywhere. I just drive out. I can, then so that is can reduce. I can also reduce excess data. I can reduce subscriptions. I can reduce convenience spending. Can delay. Examples will include things like upgrade. I mustn't upgrade my iPhone 11. I mustn't upgrade my iPhone 13 to 15. Or I think we have 17 now. I don't know. Okay. So new clothes, you can delay. Non-urgent purchases can delay. There are so many things that you can delay. Make a list of those. And then there are certain things that must stop. Must stop includes image spending. For instance, spending to look good. Must stop includes emotional spending. Some of you heard my story, how the day I just drove out to go to eat grilled fish, grilled catfish, and I wasn't hungry. I eat cooked food once in a day. I had already eaten, for that day, had my fruit. But something just said go, as if something just moved me to go on. So I went there, emotional spending. But on my way, I stopped myself because I put it under the category must stop, emotional spending. And I was asking myself, am I hungry? I said, no, I just finished eating like 1 hour before this time. I wasn't hungry. Am I malnourished? Have I not had protein that day? I had. There was really no need. Second question, I asked myself, I have been accumulating JITCO, GTBank shares at the time. So I asked myself, this money I want to go and spend there, how many JITCO can it buy from? While this question was going on, I just turned. I used the money and bought JITCO, GT Bank. For at that time, when this incident happened, JITCO sold for 18 naira. I loaded up JITCO at 18 naira. So that was probably 3, 4 years ago. Now, JITCO is 130 or 130 something. 130 something. That is something I would have blown up on fish, emotional spending. All right. So you must stop borrowing to impress people. Stop borrowing to impress people. Who are you impressing? Okay. And then every financial leakage that is not contributing to your future, stop. So because once you create that breathing room, you can now start thinking, and then you can now start creating income once life is stable. Okay, so now that is stage 2, stabilize. But that is not where the wealth creation journey ends. Now that life is stable, what is the next thing? It brings us to the third stage, which, as you can see on the screen, is solve. Okay, everybody type it in the comment section. Solve. Okay, now you are beginning to ask yourself, how do I create more income once life is stable? That is solve. So thank you, Manzi. Yeah. Solve. Fantastic. Good. And this is value creation. So this is the income creation stage. In this stage, you have solved the stage 2 problem, which is, can I meet my basic needs? So now you have started meeting your basic needs. In stage 3 of wealth creation, you are now asking, what problem can I solve? So when people say, I have no capital, when people tell me I have no capital, there's a way I look at them. I always ask them, do you have a problem you can solve? Do you have a problem you can solve? See, this mindset is incredibly important for you to leave that stabilized stage. You see, because your first capital may not be money. Your first capital may be knowledge. Your first capital may be a skill. Can I give you a fun fact about me? The very first job I got my very first job with SOS Children's Village. I worked with abandoned children. That was my very first job as the youth leader. Do you know how I got that job? I got it because I could play. I studied zoology. I studied zoology in the university. But the first job I got and the second job I got was from my musical skills. Would you believe it? I could play the guitar. So I came out. I was a member of choir. I could play the guitar at the church that I attended at the time, which was Yaba Presbyterian Church, for those of you who know Yaba. And so I was in the gospel band. I was instrumental in starting the gospel band, in that church. And then it was from there that somebody got the information that SOS Children's Village, under the amazing Mrs. Da Silva in those days, that they were looking to employ somebody. By this time, I had spent close to 2 years without job, doing nothing. So if I hadn't been there displaying my musical skills, I could never have gotten that job. Then secondly, the second work I got with the Navigators was purely because I could play the guitar. And the country director at that time really loved music, wanted somebody who could be, leading worship and things like that. That's how I got my second job. Skill. It had nothing to do with the certificate, zoology certificate. And would you also believe when I tell you that up to today, I've never done one job. I graduated in 1988 with that certificate in zoology. I have never worked with it up to today, since 1988. Even the job I did in Shell, it wasn't my zoology certificate. So I pity young people who kill themselves in school to obtain a certificate. They cheat in exams, which is a horrible idea. Because see, once you start cheating, you cheat in an exam, you come out, you have to cheat, continue to cheat to stay alive. Which was why people cheat in an exam. They go to they come out of school, they start cheating in the office and cheating follows them. Then they get married, they start cheating. But see, that's why it starts with identity. Once you change your identity, that first stage, all these things will be taken care of. Okay. So your first capital may be a skill that you have, which is not even related to what you are doing. So I met a couple of years ago a pharmacy student, brilliant pharmacy student, who had skills in making shoes. The guy was making shoes. He was making customized shoes for some celebrities, making a lot of money. He's studying a pharmacy, but what was feeding him, making money for him was skill. So don't always look at your certificate. And people say, oh, I have BSc in this, I have MSc in this, I have PhD. And I ask them, what is your skill? People are DMing me. Okay, I say, I'm looking for a job. Okay, what skill do you have? They start telling me about their certificate. Your certificate is not your skill. So your first capital may also be your experience. Your first capital may be access. And the interesting thing is that these assets or this capital does not stop, because right now my skills are still making ways for me. Right now my experience is still making ways for me. My goodness, when people actually work, my real work is not this thing I'm doing. I actually coach businesses. I lead board retreats. I lead strategy corporate retreats. And then I help organizations, to scale. Now, and then when people engage me, they meet, there are shops like, what has zoology got to do with this? Nothing, but it's experience. It's experience. And then I just finished having a conversation with a company that wants me to come work for them, come lead their execution of their strategy. And it's experience. And it was somebody that referred them, somebody who had experience with me. So experience is an asset. It's a huge economic asset. So while you are there looking at your certificate, there's an experience you have in something that might actually be your capital. Your first capital may also be trust. There are very few people one can trust these days in our country. Very few people. Very few people. A woman I know, the wife of a military general, they were not even afraid of her. I had a shop, kept these two girls to manage it, and then traveled to the UK. I think she stayed about 2-3 months. Came back. After that, the store was empty. So she was happy, at least, that the things that she was sending were sold, that she put there were sold. So she said, okay, where's the money? Nothing. Trust could be capital. So money flows toward solved problems. That is something to write down. Make that note. Money flows toward solved problems. So let me give you a mighty insight. This should change somebody's life. You see, all the money that you need in this world, all the money you need in this world is in somebody's wallet. The money you need right now, if you need $1 million right now, is in somebody's wallet. If you need 10,000 naira right now, it's in somebody's wallet. If you need 1 million naira, it's in somebody's wallet. If you need $1,000, it already exists. And it is not on the street. It's not just lying down on the street. It is in somebody's wallet. This alone should set you free financially. What does this mean? For this thing to leave my wallet to you, You have solved a problem. You solve a problem for me. The only way I can leave my wallet to come to your bank account or to your own wallet is that you have given me something of value. You have solved the problem that I have. And so I open it and then exchange and give you. That's why it's called a medium of exchange. And what is being exchanged is value. So money flows toward solved problems. So if you need money, stop asking who will give me money. I wish I can shout this enough, especially to our young people. Stop asking who will give me money. What you should rather start asking is, what problem can I solve for money? If you wake up every morning and then you're asking yourself, what problem can I solve for money? You become wealthy. What problem can I solve for money? Stop asking who will give you money. Stop looking for picking money. And then a lot of people, worse still, they go to gamble. Sports betting, Niger bet, all kinds of things. But money doesn't flow like that from that machine to you. Money flows from solving problems or towards solving problems. So now there are 3 stages, 3 parts to stage 3, which is that value creation. There are 3 parts, so make a note of them. One is create, the other one is distribute, and then the other one is capture. So let me explain. So create value, distribute value, capture value. This is all entrepreneurship is about. This is everything. This is the science of money, like the DNA of money. Create value, distribute that value, then capture the value. What does it mean to create value? It means that you solve a real problem, because a lot of us are solving problems that nobody is paying for. So the problem that pays is what you need to solve. The problem you are solving or you're trying to solve, or that product you are creating, who wants it? Who needs it? Distribute means people must know that you can solve it. Because if you can solve my problem and I don't know you, there's no way that money will flow to you. And then capture means that you must charge. You must charge for it. Unfortunately, in most parts of Africa, and let me say even typically Nigeria particularly, I don't know if it's like that in Ghana. I've been in Ghana for years, but I think it's the same thing. It's like people for some reason have been conditioned to believe that the universe owes them lunch. They believe that the universe owes them lunch. They don't believe in pain. But at some point, you'll discover that you will remain poor until you can pay to learn, pay to earn, like people say. That's how people don't. So people don't pay. And then because people are so reluctant to pay, creators have become, they try to shame you when you ask for it. Somebody came to my channel the other day, one of my videos, and said, "Oh, you're only trying to sell your ebook, your PDF, Yes, of course. I'm selling. It's not free." And then some people start a community for free, like investing something, and then they are doing it for free. It's your choice. You chose to offer it free. It is your choice. For goodness sake, stop talking about it every day. I'm doing this for free. I'm doing this for free. I'm doing this for free. I'm not charging like other people. If you're doing for free, you can say, yes, I'm doing it for free. It's okay to say that. But why? There's nothing wrong with other people who are charging. So don't say, I'm doing this for free, unlike other people who are not. No. Just say you are doing it for free. It's your choice. But many of you are poor because you are not charging. You must charge. I started all these freebie things, when I started, and I discovered some shocking things. Number one, if people don't pay for something, they don't use it. It's no value for them. They don't use it. They don't use it. I paid one lady. All she was teaching me was communicating my value. We had, I paid her $4,000. So that was 8 sessions. 8 sessions. Each session was 1 hour, $500. Do you know what? Because I paid $500 for a session of 1 hour over the phone, over Zoom. not even face to face because she's in America. Now, I paid $500 and then there was schedule. Do you know what? Because I paid for it. I usually will be there 10 minutes of time. Once it is time, my Zoom comes on. I will record, I will write, and I use it. I still use it today. Why? Because I paid for it. And I knew if I don't attend, $500 is gone. But how many of you, you've been offered things free, offered PDF free, offered reports free, yet you don't use it because you didn't pay for it. It cost you nothing. And no wonder King David, he got that principle. A lot of people missed it. Say, I will not offer to God something that does not cost me something. The other strange thing I discovered about paying for knowledge when I started my own consulting and coaching. So minimum of engaging me is $5,000 a day for those of you who work with me. And so if you're asking me to come work for you for a weekend, minimum is $10,000. So when I said, I found it very difficult to command this $10,000, it was difficult. People were not paying me until I paid other people $10,000. I started paying other people, other consultants and coaches, $10,000. All of a sudden, look, if you understand it, tell me in the comment section. I don't understand it, but there's something spiritual about that. That is difficult for you to command the value that you yourself have not been able to give out to other people. And so when I hear give and it shall be given to you, people always think it's about taking money and then putting in an offering plate. And that's the way most people interpret it, and especially pastors would love to interpret it like that. No. There's a creator out there. There's a coach out there that offers something that I want. I pay her. There's also a Nigerian lady, amazing. One of the most popular Nigerians on Facebook. She does very well. She's extremely good in selling, So initially she started selling a course. She still sells that course program on accounting. And then she went into agriculture. Fantastic, very successful woman. She's selling eggs online right now. And then right now they've also they are now going into backward integration into owning a amazing woman. So one day I just called her. I said, how much is an hour with you? She told me, I said, please send me your bank account. I want 3 sessions with you. I didn't price it. I wired to her. So those 3 sessions, what she taught me in 3 sessions, you won't get it in your 3 years of your university. You won't get it. You won't get it. And so, and I have a financial fitness challenge for mentorship. There's no way that everything, I'm giving lots of value here, like many of you know, but there's no way you can get everything that you can act on, without committing to some kind of mentorship. So you charge. That's the point I'm making. Charge. Because you're providing value. You're distributing it. Most times when I'm doing this, I'm using my diesel generator. I'm thinking about solar right now. I'm using Starlink. I'm using a whole lot of things to be able to do this. And then somebody said, you only want to sell your mentorship program. You want to sell your book. Of course, I've got to sell it. There's no shame in that. So what I'm saying is, many of you are poor because you are ashamed to charge. Charge money. Charge money. When religious bodies invite me, like churches, to come and preach the gospel of the kingdom to them, I don't charge them. Sometimes I drive myself, I pay for it. But when you invite me to come and teach you, this thing I'm telling you right now, to come and teach you about becoming financially free, guy, you pay. Your church will pay. You will pay. So you tell me, freely you received, freely you give. No, that's a wrong application. I didn't receive this when I'm teaching you free. Like even what I'm teaching you right now, I didn't receive it free. But the gospel of the kingdom, I received it free. Salvation, I received. So I'll give that one free to you. But I charge. I charge. You can talk to me if you can't pay for my services. You can. So if this free one I'm doing is not enough for you, and then you want one-on-one with me, and people write me, oh, can they call me? No, you can't call me. You can call me. One-on-one with me is $500 to start with, and I can put the link in the session. You just can't call me. So people are sending me messages. No, you can't. So charge. So the three of them, you can't do two and not do one. You create value to solve a real world problem. You distribute value so that people can know that you have that capacity, and then you capture it. You charge. Okay, you charge. So some people have value, but nobody knows. That is poor distribution. You don't have a social media handle. You don't have a website. You don't have anything. Your WhatsApp status is blank. No, but how will people know? Some people post every day, but there is no clear offer. Okay, so you have LinkedIn, you have TikTok, but all you are doing there is clearing and forwarding jokes so that people will laugh. That's all you're doing on social media, and then, but then you don't have an offer. You don't have an offer. So it's called poor value creation. And then some people will help everybody for free, and then they feel guilty charging. That is poor value capture. So I spent an insane amount of time to say that because it's a problem in Nigeria. Those of you living in the US, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. You pay. You pay. In the US, how can you, once in Canada, my brother's, when I visited him, he had a plumbing issue. Many years ago, he had a plumbing issue. And then he called the guy to come and fix it. That guy was from Benin City, and that was his work. And they knew each other, they were friends. So he came and fixed it. That was long ago. Just did some tiny whatever he did somewhere, fixed the whole thing, and then collected his bill, 200 Canadian dollars or something, 250 Canadian dollars or something like that. He paid his friend. Because there, who are you? There's nothing like, oh, you're my fellow countryman, and then you are this. So don't let anybody make you guilty for charging for your services. If you don't charge, many of you have value listening to me. And if you're the one I'm talking to, just say that that's me. You have value. You're creating value. There's a lot you're doing for people, but you can't charge because you feel guilty charging them. Which is why I say, don't do business for poor people. Never do business for poor people. Many of you are doing business for poor people. When I say poor people here, who do I mean? People who can pay you. People who can pay you. Don't do business for poor people. Do business only for customers. They are different. People who can pay you. People who are able and willing to pay. Then for poor people, do charity. People are confusing both. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. You can't take business and give poor people. You take charity. Charity for poor people. Business for people who can pay for your products and services. Does that make sense? Okay. So I might sound hard, but that is the reality. If you have to escape poverty, you must sound hard. So you need all those three things. Okay, let's make it practical, for instance. So like in Nigeria, let me give you some examples. It also works in Ghana. It also should work in South Africa, in Namibia, wherever you're joining from. Someone can create weekend lessons for children preparing for exams, because spending for parents is a must. Parents spend a lot for their children. Parents want to see their children do well, pass exams. So you can create that. You can cook weekly meals and pack for workers, busy workers. Someone can do laundry pickup and delivery in an estate. Even in the estate that I'm living in, somebody comes to pick my major laundry. When we do minor laundry, we use a washing machine. But when I want to do my suits and things, somebody comes to pick it, and we pick it and then deliver that, and I pay premium for that. Okay, so somebody can work with CAC paperwork. People who want to open, can work with visa forms. There's so much opportunity because many people want to travel to different parts of the world. You can actually help with visa forms. You can help with school applications. There are all kinds of things you can do. You can do small flyers on Canva. You can help markets. You can help market products on your WhatsApp, and people pay, for it, and you collect there's so much. Okay, social media posting for small business owners in the UK, US, Canada, and these other places. There's so many things you can do, many opportunities right there. Childcare support, cleaning, elderly support, tutoring African children who are struggling in school, helping small African businesses with bookkeeping, helping new migrants to settle. In fact, in recent times, I've been seeing many videos from Vietnam. A lot of Americans and other people moving to Vietnam. So you have people in Vietnam, Americans in Vietnam, who have lived there for 6 months, and they now created a business helping other people to settle, okay, to come to Vietnam and settle. So airport pickup and things, so many things. Tax document organization, helping busy families with errands. There's so many things you can do over there. Now, let me put this caveat. When you are on the journey to wealth, I plead with you, do not despise anything. Don't despise any kind of work. That's a big problem with some of our young people. They say, me, I'm a graduate. How do you expect me to go and sell Gary? I sold Gary and rice for somebody. I sold Gary rice beans in a store in that same Makoko. After I left Shell, even as an ex-Shell staff, even as ex-Chevron staff, as a former big person, I made and sold fruit juice. I would make orange juice, pineapple and ginger, carrot and ginger, all kinds of juices, and then vegetable. I make all kinds of smoothies, and I will put a loudspeaker by the street. For those of you who know Opera Square in Enugu, I put a loudspeaker there, and I'll put music, and I'll be dancing. I'll also be doing exercises to attract people who came to exercise, passing by that street to buy. So I did street selling. As a grown man. So what I'm saying is that nothing is too low. Nothing is beneath you. I think that's the word they use. Oh, this is beneath me. Nonsense. Nothing is beneath you. Start from somewhere. There's another reason you should. Start from somewhere. Don't despise anything. If it's a low-hanging fruit, something that you can kickstart cash flow, do it. Don't say this is beneath you. Says who. One secret reason why you need to do something that appears beneath you, in order to stabilize your family and then to start creating cash flow, is that many times the bigger ones, the bigger doors, don't open until you have passed through the smaller doors. I'm telling you something profound. I don't even know how to say it. It's actually deeper in my spirit than the way it's coming out of my mouth. Many of you are where you are today in life because you jumped over the small beginnings. But there's a spiritual principle that says that he who is faithful in little will be faithful in much. If you do not know, like now, I also sold coffee. I sold coffee from the boot of my car. I carried coffee to office to sell coffee. Even after leaving Shell, when things got bad, because I had to attend stability and I had to pay school fees, I went around selling coffee. Not because I wanted to sell coffee, but I had to start from somewhere. Do you know it's in the middle of doing the street selling of my fruit juice? Do you know it's in the middle of doing that somebody wrote me and said, hey, there's opportunity to adjunct to teach at the Lagos Business School. Can you come and teach this subject for us? I took it. I started teaching in Lagos Business School, MBA students, people who came to do business, what do they call it? AMP, Advanced Management Program. And I was teaching. I was teaching. So, and I did so well that more and more teaching opportunities at the Lagos Business School kept coming up. That's how I was doing the fruit juice thing. From there, I got to teaching in Lagos Business. From teaching in Lagos Business School, opportunity opened in China European International Business School. They said, "Oh, somebody recommended you. We know you are doing this at LBS. Can you also come and teach?" I started teaching there. Network started increasing, and people I lectured in Lagos Business School, company executives, company owners, they started hiring me, calling me to come and work for them, work for their companies. Do you see? Then it didn't stop there. As I was working with the China Europe International Business School, Stanford University reached out because they were looking for a business transformation advisor for the Stanford University, for the Stanford Seed program that they had. That's how I worked for Stanford University before coming to sit here to talk to you. But who would look at me and imagine that I sold fruit juice to passers-by by the streets and to motorists, dancing by the street, me dancing, and then sometimes I'll make it fun. I'll challenge them to come and do push-ups, and I say, okay, if you do more push-ups than me, I will give you fruit juice for free. I did. So the journey of wealth requires humility. Humility. Type humility in the comment section. If you're going to be wealthy, you'd better be humble. This is why whenever I come to social media and I see all these people doing this on social media, showing off their cars, then they have this fleet of police people and security people and soldiers carrying gun, running in front of them. I say, these people are not wealthy. Did they go through what I went through? Nobody who went through the journey like I did, like this thing I just told you now. Nobody who goes through that comes to social media to come and show. What am I coming to show you car for? What am I coming to flex for? If you've gone through this journey, if you've been humbled like this, okay? So that is, yes, there is no shame in selling. Ruth says yes. Ruth, good to have you here. It's simply the awareness of value. Absolutely. Yeah, humility. A lot of people are poor because they are not humble. And then it's a spiritual principle that says, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, and then he will exalt you in due season. If God had told me to go and do the fruit juices, to go and sell Gary by the street in Makoko, and then I didn't do it, how would he have lifted me? I'm not sure you guys know what it means to work with Stanford University. I'm not sure you guys. I mean, it's like a once in a generation opportunity. A once fantastic. I'm not sure you guys also know what it meant to have worked in Shell. So humility is important in the journey. Okay. So the point I'm making is, in this stage, is very simple, that your environment is full of problems. Your environment, if you look around you, you see so many problems wearing clothes, ordinary clothes. So your own job is to notice them, package a solution, and then offer it with confidence. So let me give you a practical action in stage 3. Create one offer and tell 20 people. Just create something and tell 20 people. And then, so don't wait until you have a perfect website. Don't wait until you have a logo. I've been doing all the things I've been doing without website. Do not wait until you register a company. Do not wait until the angels blow the transport. You know what? Just start now with one clear offer, one painful problem, one group of people, one simple promise, one price, and then one way to pay. You need to rewind, go back to this, and then write down all these things I've talked about. So, and a few examples, you can say something like, I help busy working mothers prepare weekly food packs. Simple offer, simple niche. You're not doing for everybody. You're just targeting single working mothers. You can say, I help small business owners design simple flyers and manage WhatsApp posts. You can say, I help coaches create AI, what do you call them now? AI agents. My goodness, AI is a new thing. We're going to have a separate episode, a separate session on AI and money minting. AI and money. Nobody who has internet, has laptop, and has AI, my goodness, should be poor in 2026. Okay? I help Nigerian families abroad plan remittances without destroying their own budget. So that's how capital starts. It's not with a loan, because a lot of people, they want to start a business, they go for loan. Okay? Capital sometimes starts with a solved problem. And then, so once you begin to solve problems and money starts coming in, do not consume everything, or like we say, eat everything here. This is where people begin to fail. So they create extra income, then they inflate their lifestyle. It's called lifestyle inflation. When I look at my country people, I look at the data, what the data is saying, and I can't match it. I can't match it. Over 94% of people living in Nigeria, people of Nigerians, are poor. Are poor. And I'm like, but when you see them on Facebook, see what the data is saying. Some of you read the Piggy First data that they publish. You can look it online, and even World Bank information on Nigeria. It's terrible poverty here. Terrible poverty. And then there was another one that came out sometime last year or so, that about 80% of people in Lagos, workers in Lagos, earn 100,000 naira and below. That was 2 years ago or sometime last year. I doubted it. Then I traveled to Lagos and I just made some little, and he said, wait a minute. Because I thought it was impossible. How can somebody, a man married with 3-4 children, be earning 100,000 in a place like Lagos? But I saw that it was true. I saw that it was true. Yet people come online, my goodness. My goodness. And I'm like, is it not the same people that I'm seeing online flexing like this? And then somebody makes money, they spend the whole of it. So that leads us to stage number 4, asset acquisition. So stage number 4, as you can see on the screen, is store. And that is asset acquisition stage. So now, in stage number 3, you asked, what problem can I solve for money? In stage number 4, you are asking, what am I buying that can grow? What am I buying that can grow? So we're talking about assets. So because if every extra income becomes extra enjoyment, like we do, some of us do, you will remain in the same place, with better stories. But many people increase income and still remain broke because lifestyle grows faster than assets. They allow their lifestyle to grow faster than their asset. Okay, once more income comes in, they get better phone. They start doing bigger outings. Start going to the expensive beaches. They have more clothes, more obligations, because now you've shown everybody on social media that you're big, that you're a big boy. So every event in your village, you become chairman. Okay. So, and then soft life. You are seeing the big guys, and then they call it soft life. And then you start soft life. So this is why stage 4 is about storing value in things that grow. That's a major part of the wealth journey. So make a note of this. Income feeds you, assets free you. Income feeds you, assets free you. Your salary can feed you, your business income can feed you, your side hustle can feed you, but assets are what begin to carry your future. This was why Warren Buffett said that if you don't have assets that make money while you sleep, he said that you will die poor. And I see it all over the world. I see people who are in their 70s and they're still working actively. I go to the US, get into a Walmart and some of these malls, you see elderly people, people in their 70s still working. Why? Because they didn't build assets that were supposed to take care of their future. Okay. So there are some examples of assets you can acquire. You can acquire stocks, you can buy treasury bills, mutual funds, you can buy land as well. Uh, you can buy business tools and machines. There are lots of machines that people advertise from China that can actually form a business, a cash flow asset. Okay. Now, a food seller who buys a freezer has bought an income tool, for instance. And then a tailor who buys an industrial machine has bought an income tool as well. So shout out to my tailor. He's a big boy right now. He made what I'm wearing. He's a big boy. He's become international, and he did this because of asset acquisition. He started acquiring machines, and then started hiring people. And today, he ships um, very beautiful clothes, finished clothes to US, UK, Canada, and then across Africa. Incredible growth. And I think one day I'm going to have to invite Shadrach to come online and then tell us his story. And Shadrach, if you're listening to this, please take a note of that. You're going to come and tell us that, because this is about wealth creation. Okay. So our Africans in the diaspora, your asset acquisition may include index funds. You have asset to index funds, S&P, and then many others. It can include pensions, retirement accounts, of course, business tools as well. It could also include stock investing, professional certifications, or small digital product that you can sell repeatedly. But I have to put a warning here. Please do not invest survival money. It's a problem. The other day, somebody came to the comment section and said, "Oh, you told us to buy, what was the stock? You told us to buy QTix. You told us to buy QTix last year, and then QTix has been in the same place. It's not moving." And she forgot that I said that if you're investing in penny stocks, that you must hold penny stocks for at least 3 to 5 years. And I said in my own strategy, I'm holding the penny stocks for at least 3 to 5 years. So I also bought at the time, and I can see that some of those stocks that were recommended. And I said to her, it's not even May yet. It was May or June last year. I recommended it. It's not even May. It's not even June yet. It's not even up to 1 year. And I said at least 3 to 5. And the reason you get under pressure to sell stocks at a loss is because you were using your rent money. You were using survival money. So in this stage 4, you're not using rent money. You are not using your school fee money. So sometimes people are asking me, I have this money, I'm paying my rent in September, another 6 months. Please, which stock can I invest it in so that it can multiply 10 times? The stock market does not work like that. And that's the mindset shift that you need to do at stage 1. Okay, the stock market does not work like that. So do not invest your emergency money in risky things. That is not faith. So investable capital is money that can stay. If the money must come out next week, it's not investment money, it is bill money. And so you have to respect that difference. What we are talking about in this stage is investable capital, not bill money. So I asked myself, this stock I'm going to buy, I'm buying now, can I hold it for 30 years? because the compounding that assets do can be incredible. For example, I bought a cement company of Northern Nigeria. It was in 2006. I was still working in Shell at the time. Then, after I got into hard times, I sold part of it. Sometime around 2008, 2009, during the crash, I sold part of it. And then I left only 2,000 of that stock left. So that was 2006. It was called Cement Company of Northern Nigeria. CCNN was the ticker at the time. So now it's become Boa Cement, BUA, Boa Cement. I think they bought it or something like that. In 2006, I bought Boa Cement at about 6 naira. So those 2,000 shares remaining were 12,000 naira. That's what I bought it. 12,000 naira. That's what I bought it. Then last month, I wanted to consolidate my volume in Dangote Cement. I wanted to consolidate. So I said, okay, I don't want to hold these two cement companies from in that same category. So I sold the 2,000 Boa Cement. Guess how much I sold each of them? I think it's 325,000 because it came up to 650,000 naira. 12,000 to 650,000 naira. That's the kind of compounding. No. I know you might say you say inflation and all this and all that and all that. I'm telling you, yes, I understand that. But these assets, they compound faster than inflation. That is why if you are putting money down in stocks or any investment, it should not be your rent money because your rent is not going to wait for 10 years. Your school fee is not going to wait for 5 years, okay? So that is very important. So your simple action at stage 4, where we are, is to create an asset rule. Really important. For example, you can say every time extra income enters, that 20% goes into asset before lifestyle touches it. Okay. Now, but after buying assets, another challenge emerges. And what is that challenge? Your income may still depend too much on your body, too much on your physical energy, too much on your being present. It means that if you stop, the money will stop. That is the danger that many people find themselves. So right now, money is coming in, but then the moment you stop playing, you stop appearing, that money also stops. Or maybe, God forbid, some illness or disability happens, you can't do that anymore. So if you stop, the money stops. But if you are tired, the money also becomes tired. If you travel, the money travels. So that's why stage 4 is now talking about scaling income systems. So this is where you stop depending only on your effort, because the principle that I teach for financial freedom is that you go from a stage where you are working for money to where your money starts working for you. So whether you're on vacation or not, whether you've traveled to Dubai or to Germany or to France or to UK or to Thailand to receive medical help, your money continues to work for you. That's really your goal. That is the second to the ultimate goal that we're talking about, where your money starts working for you. So the question you are asking in stage 5 is, how do I make income repeatable? How do I make income repeatable? Very important question. And I figure that many of us may not be there right now. But then you need to understand the whole spectrum of the wealth journey. You will come to the place where you have to start thinking about how you can make money repeatable, because one-time income is good. Repeatable income is much better. System income is very, very powerful. So many people are hardworking, but they are not system building. They are two different things. So working hard is not the same thing as building systems. And I would prefer to build systems than just work hard. Okay. So start thinking in terms of not just working hard, but in terms of building system. Okay. So stage 5 is where you build a simple system. It could be a selling system. It could be a follow-up system, a delivery system, a referral system. For instance, a woman who sells food at stage 3, she sells plates of food, randomly to people. But in stage 5, she can create a weekly subscription, Monday to Friday lunch pack. That is how you systemize, because every day she has to go around selling that food and be there physically. But then if she systemizes and she has subscription, it's easier to plan. And she receives payment upfront because through WhatsApp, people can pay her. I saw a young woman the other day advertising some beautiful uh, uh, soups. I think she's a Calabar woman. Yeah, because I hear that they cook very well and different varieties. And she's on TikTok selling food abroad. She is shipping from Niger soup, from Nigeria to the United States to Dubai. What excuse do we? It's incredible the opportunities that are there, to make money. Okay, so look for a way to systemize what you're doing. So one thing you already do manually to make money, and then make it repeatable. At another session, we can how AI, you can use AI. I mean, I am amazed and fascinated by agentic AI. Agentic AI, how AI can actually create AI employees to do some of these things, to automate it. And then if you're interested in that sort of session, just let me know in the comment section. Okay, so simple action is to choose one thing you already do and then make it repeatable. So for instance, can you create a checklist? Can you create a template like I do? Can you create a weekly subscription and all that? Can you automate your savings or investment contribution? That is how your income begins to scale. Then the final stage is secure. In secure, the question you are not asking is, can my asset and systems carry my life? Very, very important question. You see, you are not asking, can I impress people? Because a lot of people go through these stages, and then by the time they get to scale, they are looking for impressing people. So those abroad would, when they are coming back, they come with extremely expensive cars and then whatever, to impress people. No, but you shouldn't be impressing people at this stage. This stage, you should be asking, you shouldn't be impressing people. You should not be asking, can I buy the biggest car in the village? Can I build the biggest, like in my village, is a big thing, big deal to build upstairs, If you have the highest upstairs in the community, you've arrived, So you are not asking at this stage, can I prove that I've arrived? But you're asking a different set of questions. You're asking, can my assets and systems carry my life? Especially now that people are living older. I've been saying it. I observed this in sometime last year because I had too many invitations, for burials and funerals. And so around my area, there are certain seasons where they bury people. So you see so many burials and then all these burial posters. And then one day I was seeing this person 93 years, this person 105 years, this person 98 years. And I said, wait a minute, I'm 60. And I'm seeing 105 years, I'm seeing 95, 98 years, 93. It dawned on me that I might still be here for another 30, 40 years. It dawned on me I might still be around here for another 40 years. Therefore, it's a huge question. Can my assets carry me through the rest of my life? Because a lot of people, once they stop working, their money ends. Their money dries up within a month or a week, they stop working, and then they start depending on their children. Of course, children should naturally, spiritually, care for their parents. It's the right thing to do. Honor your parents, care for them. Make sure that the final decades of their lives are joyful and nice. But you see, you don't depend on that. You don't depend on that because you as a parent, you also want the children to have a breathing room to thrive and to do well, because you don't want to be a burden on them. And every parent desires that. You don't want, should anything, there be a major need, an emergency, your children are still struggling to stand, and then you start putting burdens on them, and then they don't have a space to grow. So it's a lot of balance. Children must, if you ask me, must care for their parents. It's the right thing to do, even if your parents didn't care for you. Because I see people online saying things like, oh, my mother left us, or my father didn't care for us. He left my mother and the children. My mother raised us. Now your father is ill. He's 76. He's dying. And then you say because he didn't care for you. No, that's not the way it works. That's not the way. You must care. But I'm saying, fathers and mothers, ask yourself today, this is a good time, now that you're in your 40s, in your 50s, in your 60s, like myself, to ask yourself, can my assets and my systems carry me for another 30, 40 years? So that I would actually leave something for my children's children, not just my children. Okay, so that's a very important question that people do, because I have seen a situation where many families lose generational wealth because it was not protected. It was not protected. I grew up seeing situations, especially in the 70s, in the 80s. There was no banking. There was no bank in my village or anywhere close, like anywhere 3 hours, within the 3 hour radius of my village. There was no bank. There was no bank in the 70s. I'm even saying 3 hours. Maybe more than that. Maybe you really have to do a day's journey to do banking. It's amazing how the world has changed. So today, you just use your phone and then you do, but in those days, there was no bank. So I knew people, very wealthy people, who died and nobody could find where they kept their riches. They were merchants, traders, farmers. They had money. So people had to bury money in those days. They had to bury money in different places. And then you didn't tell anybody, because how would you tell anybody where your money was? And then there was a particular one I know of, an extraordinarily rich person. He died. And up to today, over 40 years later, they still haven't found where he kept his money. And then that family literally had to deep dive again into poverty to start to start rising. And it's still happening today. A man dies and then nobody knows where the documents are. Is it only me that has witnessed it, or has anybody witnessed what I'm talking about? Or maybe it even happened in your family. So somebody dies, a man dies, and then nobody knows where documents are. A business grows, but there is no structure. Once the business collapses, once the owner dies, that business collapses. Land is bought, but the papers are weak. The papers have not been perfected. Children inherit assets, but not wisdom, because it's not just enough leaving your assets in your will for the children. The most important thing you actually leave for the children is financial literacy, personal growth, wisdom, understanding of how the world works. And so if you are making money right now, make sure you're also teaching your children wisdom, self-control, financial literacy, that you're teaching them how life works. Otherwise, I have also witnessed how a very wealthy person dies, and then the children sell off the whole thing. Sell off the whole thing. Like a particular one that's coming to my mind right now. The guy, the first son was deep into drugs. The man was very wealthy. The guy was deep into drugs. And then after he died, started selling off properties, what, hundreds of millions, selling off. And then within 6 months, like literally everything was gone. And you couldn't say no. People couldn't say no to him. So that is not legacy. So what you want to do is in stage 6, freedom is when your life is no longer carried by salary alone. Freedom is when your money, your assets, your systems, family, and values begin to work together. So here's what you can do. This actually, I got by a very brilliant idea sometime last month. And a woman, I think she's a lawyer, she made a very beautiful suggestion, which is what I'm actually implementing right now. And I think maybe that's actually what we should end with. We cannot always continue this conversation. So she talked about in case I die, having an in case I die journal. So after she said it, I got myself I got myself some journals. So you have an in case I die journal where you put all the information, banking information, a list of your stock portfolio, the banks you have, I think also the passwords or something like that, land and all the assets you have just in case I die. So people will know, the family will know where to find what. Where to find what? There are situations where a man died and relations who knew about the land, the children didn't know about certain landed property that the man had, like a massive land. So their uncles knew. And because the father was the first son, was looking after the uncles, and usually that sort of thing helped them. But then the uncles turned after the children, turned against the children. And there were lands that the man had that the children didn't know about. So the uncle seized it. That's terrible. And it happens. He knows when we're going to breathe our last. Journey, wealth creation journey cannot be complete until you talk about how to pass it on. So in my own case, just I make sure that my wife, my precious wife, is signatory to key bank, knows the details, knows passwords of that, so that should anything happen, they shouldn't lose anything. So you shouldn't lose, and your family shouldn't lose this hard-earned wealth that you created. So these are the 6 stages of wealth creation. And after listening to this, you do not have, so I think I can stop sharing. So after listening to this, you don't have any excuse. Okay? You don't have any excuse that you're starting from zero. So in summary, I told you that everyone came capitalized. So don't forget my mango. I think I still have it here. So don't forget my mango seed. So inside every mango is a seed. And that seed is your seed capital. So it's not that you are not capitalized, you're fully capitalized. So there's a different thing from working from point zero to your capitalization, instead of working from a place knowing that you're already capitalized and then working backwards to where you are today to journey towards your full capitalization. So don't be ashamed, whatever stage you are in right now. Don't be ashamed. I have passed through, I've told you my personal stories, I've passed through all those stages. I'm still going. So, because what happens is that confusion reduces when you understand the stage you are in. So the stage you are in is not to indict you or something, but it's for you to know, because once you build that awareness, you simply ask, where am I? What is the next move? These are the kind of questions you should stop doing. What must I stop doing? What must I start doing? So that's how capital begins. And I'm not taking a swipe at prayer, but I think many of us are misusing prayer because we misunderstand it. Because you can also ask yourself, all these pray, morning altars you've been doing for 5 years, 10 years, and nothing is changing. Try this thing I've shared with you today. Because that's how capital begins. It doesn't begin with a prayer. You can pray and God gives you an idea. Like in the desert, when the Jewish population was going through 40 years in the desert, they had miracles. Every day, daily miracles. Manna fell. There was pillar of cloud by day, pillar of fire by night with them. Miraculous things happened. They heard the voice of God. They saw all kinds of things. They saw Red Sea divided, lots of miracles. But God doesn't intend that that we be every single minute is miracle, because the moment they entered the promised land, read it, it's in the scriptures. What happened? The miracle stopped. Some people still went out that day to look for manna, and then the scripture said that they didn't find. So why do you every day you're living in church praying for breakthrough, breakthrough? Come out, follow this path, because everything I shared with you is also biblical. Everything is here. I can put a Bible verse to everything I've shared with you today. So it's not in sitting there looking for destiny helper, but implement it. Go back to this video, listen to it again, and it's going to be right here on YouTube. It's not going anywhere. Listen to it over and over again. And so from today, do not say I have no capital. Don't say I don't have any capital. Instead, say I am learning to create capital. So that one sentence can change your behavior. And when your behavior changes, money starts to move. Have you gotten some value today? Did you enjoy this? So tell me more in the comment section. Tell me your aha moments. Tell me the most important thing you've got today that you're going to implement. And then let me know what you would like me to discuss next in the next live session. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and you're listening to this, or you haven't shared it, please go ahead and do that. And when you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell button, because that shows you every time I'm alive, and then you can join us. Also, in the comment section, you will find details, the link to join my mentorship group, the financial fitness group. We do a lot there. And that community is very, very much alive, because that community is not just me. It's almost 500 people in that community helping one another, answering your questions. People who have gone through where you are right now, they're helping you. So I'll be very excited to welcome you to the Financial Fitness Challenge mentorship group on Telegram. The link is in the description. I also have a report. Like, remember, I told you that in that stage, I think it's stage 3 or stage 4, you have create, distribute, and capture value. So that's what I'm doing. So I have value that I've captured in that Dangote IPO investment report, because that Dangote IP, I'm waiting for it. I've actually started positioning for it, because that is a once in a generation wealth transfer event that might never come to many of us again, until the day we die. So in that report, I share 13 strategic stocks and why, because I could easily just tell you buy this stock, but that 98 pages of the report actually tells you exactly why you are buying those 13 stocks, and then helps you to build conviction. All right. So I'm seeing in the comment section, can you do a part 2 of this, like a continuation of this, for those who are doing this from scratch? Okay. Yeah. Just let me know in the comment section. What did you enjoy today? And what would you like me to speak about next? So we can do a continuation. There are 3 skills in the journey to wealth. One is making money. One is multiplying money. The other one is making money. 2 is managing money. The other one is multiplying money. Now, I've been focusing a lot on multiplying money, only for me to discover that majority of the people don't even make money. That's why I'm doing this live. So I'm going to, for a couple of weeks now, I'm going to be focusing on how do you actually make money. So yeah, I've listened to that request. All right. So this is where we are going to draw the curtain today. It's been my pleasure. And then whatever happens, keep showing up, because you never know what's coming your way next. And I'll see you in the next live session.